So you've talked a lot and written a lot about the VUCA world. I'm sure many of us know some familiarity, but take us through what you think that means and why we're living in a VUCA world right now in September 2016.
Well, I didn't know until I came here last time that VUCA really started here, because I understand VUCA in Zulu means wake up and pay attention. VUCA with a C, volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous, it is an acronym I came across probably 20 years before I retired, but I'd forgotten about it. And so after I retired, I was only retired a few months, and I got a call from the dean of a U.S. business school in North Carolina, and she said, would you come talk to us about leading in a VUCA world? And I said, absolutely, Dean, no problem, I'll be there. And I hung up and I Googled VUCA. Imagine my surprise when I found that it was a term coined by the Army War College in the late 80s to describe what they thought the world would look like after the demise of the Soviet Union. Volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. And they were really ahead of their time. So I really started thinking about that. And I reflected back on my time in Iraq. And what I realized was that preparing an army to be successful in 20th century war was hugely different than preparing army leaders to be successful in 21st century war. And what I saw was, Iraq was the most VUCA place I've ever been, before or since. And so it was VUCA squared, and so I really saw the impacts. And what I saw was it impeded not just the individual elements, the volatility, the uncertainty, the complexity, and the ambiguity, but all four of them working together and having the same time just makes it exponentially more difficult. And what I saw, it impeded a leader's ability to understand, to decide, to communicate, and ultimately to act decisively. And if you don't act decisively in war, you don't have a chance. And I'd say the same is probably true in the business environment. So I started watching, I looked at the leaders, and these are really competent folks. But what I saw leaders react to that environment in three different ways. Some said to themselves, well, look, things are going to change, so why should we plan? We're just going to react to everything. And how successful do you think they were? Not so much. And then there was another group that were so overwhelmed by the VUCA-ness of the environment that they didn't act. They were cowed by the complexity of the experience. And that's almost worse than just reacting. And then there was a much, much smaller group that imposed their will on the environment, that built a deep understanding of their environment and crafted a strategy for success. And they were successful. And I would see pockets of this all around Iraq. So as I was continuing to teach and write and think about leadership, I came across Jim Collins's book, Great by Choice. He's an American leadership guru. And he published it the year I retired from the Army. And he analyzed 20,400 companies, he and his team, over a 10 to 15 year period. And what they wanted to find was what companies outperformed their industry by 10 times over that extended period. And then for those that did, what made them so successful? I mean, you're talking about the Intels, the Microsofts, Amgen, Progressive, Southwest Airlines, those kinds of companies. You just look at U.S. companies. So then they said, okay, why were they successful? And what they came back to, it was the distinctive behavior of the leader, which is the same thing I found in Iraq. And it was the leaders that dove deeply into their operating environment, had deep understanding, crafted an appropriate vision and strategy to be successful, and then built the organization to execute that vision and strategy. Collins called the people that were successful, they adopted, he called it the control, non-control paradox. I call it the VUCA paradox. And to be successful in this environment, I believe that's where you have to start. And the VUCA paradox says that you accept the fact that your environment is going to be volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. But you do not accept the fact that external factors will determine your results. You develop the strategy, and you do it in that environment. And that's why the distinctive behavior leader makes all the difference in the world.